Welcome back to From the Shed and welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you're all doing well on this Wednesday afternoon. Before we get into the video, as always, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, you like this video, and you let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. And also, as I always say on here, make sure you hit that Linktree link in the description to go to our audio version of the podcast, and also the social accounts. They're all there. All of them are there. So make sure you follow all those social accounts before you leave this video. Now, we are going to be talking Heidenheim. Conference League football is back. We are going to be talking all of that later on in this video. But I do want to touch on something that has just cropped up on my news feed over the last couple of hours. And there was a lot of talk about this last week. Kind of went a bit quiet afterwards. But now it's resurfaced, and it looks like it's growing some legs as well. So let's get into the first part of the video where we want to talk about Mr. Frank Lampard, who will be, by the looks of it, will be in charge of Coventry City very, very soon. There's a lot of talk about Frank Lampard and him. Hopefully, looks like he's in advanced talks now with Coventry City, which is crazy. Let's get into it. We've got Oliver Kay, who's reported this just over an hour ago, that says that Frank Lampard is in advanced negotiations to become Coventry City's new manager. The former Chelsea and England midfielder made a strong initial impression in an interview with Coventry owner Doug King last week, and discussions have intensified over the past 24 hours. Lampard is now close to agreeing a 2.5-year contract as the successor to Mark Robins, obviously a Coventry fan favourite, who was controversially sacked early this month after 7 years in charge. If you remember, Robins took them from League One back into the Championship, back into the FA Cup realms of nearly getting to the final, the playoff finals as well. It says here that Joe Edwards and Chris Jones were part of Lampard's coaching staff at Everton, and during both spells at Chelsea are expected to join him at Coventry. If an agreement is reached, it will be Lampard's fourth permanent managerial role, following spells in charge of Derby, Chelsea and Everton. He has also been out of work since briefly returning to Chelsea on an interim basis at the end of the 22-23 season. King has faced criticism from Coventry supporters following a decision to sack Robins, who is the longest serving manager in the Championship and the third longest serving in the top 4 tiers of English football. Now, this is interesting because I feel with Lampard, I feel like I'll be honest, I do worry for Lampard. I feel like he's one of these managers that will just never, not that he's not built for management, because I think he's a really good, he showed in his first season that he has got managerial qualities about him. I just think he's picking the jobs that are just never going to be easy. All the jobs, you look at Everton, you look at Derby, you look at his second stint at Chelsea, you look at his first stint at Chelsea as well. No, he had the transfer ban, but still it wasn't anything impressive where you could see a Xabi Alonso coming out of him, or you could see something in him that thought, right, one day you could maybe see him actually coming back and managing Chelsea and winning the league with Chelsea, or winning the Champions League with Chelsea, or whatever. There's never really been that around Frank Lampard. And it's interesting because when you hear about him talking podcasts and you hear him talking interviews elsewhere, he always talks about his picking of talent, looking at Haaland, looking at, I think, Jude Bellingham at one point for Chelsea as well. He was always trying to go to the owners with names ahead of the curve, and that's always a good trait to have. So maybe a sporting director role, maybe some sort of scouting role is probably better for Frank Lampard. I think going into this role with Coventry I personally think would be a mistake for 2 reasons. The first reason clearly being Mark Robins, like I said, was a massive favourite at the club for Coventry. Someone that the club loved. He was there for 7 years. Like I said, he took them from League One, got them back into the Championship, got them to an FA Cup semi-final, got them to the playoff final where they just missed out on penalties. I just think this is a big job to take on. And whoever comes in, I think to myself, well, I don't know, that's a big shoes to fill. If you're Frank Lampard, you must be having doubts. I don't know what the finances are like at Coventry in terms of their transfers, but you do want an ex-Chelsea legend to hopefully do well wherever he goes. I just think he needs to maybe look at alternative routes into football, whether that's punditry, whether that's coaching, whether that's sporting director somewhere, but managerial. You look at Everton, his stint there wasn't really that good. nearly got them relegated for 2 seasons, almost back-to-back 2 seasons. His time at Derby was well, but it wasn't anything to scream about. And his times at Chelsea, yes, he got us into the Champions League final, helped us get to the Champions League final. But also you look at his time at Chelsea, even his second stint, which was a mess because of what was going on with the ownership at the time, and the change of Roman to Todd Boehly and co. You do have to question, is this the right job for Frank Lampard? Me personally, I don't think it is. I think he's walking into the lion's den, going into Coventry. It's a difficult league. Championship football is so, and he knows this from managing Derby, but it's so different to the Premier League. The Premier League, you get a bit more, there's a bit of better split in terms of, the top six, so to speak. Then you've got your teams like Brentford at times that sit in that sort of middle part of the table. Your teams that sit in the back end, the Southamptons at the moment, the Leicesters that are down there. You look at those kind of teams and it's almost split out. But in the Championship, it's fair game. You either get one really good team that's been relegated the season before and everything else is open. Everything else is open. And I think one of the things that Mark Robins did really well at Coventry was, like I said, he got them promoted, he got them into the final of the playoffs, he got them into a semi-final of the FA Cup, and those things will stay very strong in the minds of the Coventry City fans. And Frank Lampard going in there will have to hit that ground running. You'll have to get the best out of this team. They haven't been on the best of runs this season so far, Coventry. So to come in and not hit the ground running, you're already on the back foot with the fans. You probably won't get that much time at Coventry as well. They're going to want to bring someone in. They're hoping to bring someone in that will be able to change the idea of what the club's trying to do, the direction of the club. So it's going to be an interesting one for Frank Lampard. Personally, if it was me, I would be staying well clear of that. I'd say Ruud Van Nistelrooy wanted the job, Graham Potter wants the job. Let one of those guys have it, because I feel like with Frank Lampard, he's almost ruining his managerial legacy or his managerial career before he's even taken off. He hasn't really cemented himself anywhere, and stayed at a club for a period of time where you thought, you can see what he's building there, can see what he's developing. And there is always in the back of Chelsea fans' minds as well that he might come back to the club one day, go away and learn your trade elsewhere, and then come back as a fully pledged manager. And I just don't see that for him. I really don't, which is a shame, because I think, the hope was that we were always, Chelsea fans have always hoped we'd see John Terry and Frank Lampard together in the dugout, in the Chelsea dugout together. You probably got more likelihood that John Terry would probably get that job now ahead of Frank Lampard, but we'll have to see. Hope it works out for Frank Lampard at Coventry, if that is the case, that he gets the job, but it's a massive job that he's taking on. So we'll have to see how he gets on there, and hopefully it works out for him. But let's move back to Chelsea, who do have Heidenheim tomorrow. I think it's an early kickoff tomorrow. I think it's 5:45 kickoff in the Conference League. We head over to Germany. We're traveling today, I think, over there. We had our training session. Now, there was a key thing I want to point out in our training session today, which I was slightly happy about to see. Now, the absentees, I think that we kind of got to see at that training session, maybe just precaution, maybe they're doing some light training as well. But Reece James, Malo Gusto, and it looked like Axel Disasi were not involved in the training session today. Now, one name that I was happy to see in the training videos, the live stream today, was Josh Acheampong, who is back in the Chelsea training team ahead of Heidenheim trip. This has come from Simon Johnson of The Athletic as well. It goes on to say that the Chelsea Academy defender Josh Acheampong trained for the first team this morning, a sign that his exile from competitive action could be over. Now, let's hope that is the case, because I'm a big fan of Josh Acheampong. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him, and I hope that we can finally get to see him play a bit more football. It says here that the Athletic exclusive revealed last month that Acheampong was told by the club that he would not represent Chelsea and any Chelsea teams because he was yet to sign a new contract. And that's very key, because obviously the fact that he's back in the training, in the setup for training, it looks like he's going to be flying out to Germany as well to be part of that Conference League squad. Maybe that deal for Josh Acheampong has been signed, sealed, and being delivered. So let's hope that is the case. But it goes on to say that Acheampong appears to be back in the fold after joining in training with the senior side in front of the watching media ahead of their Conference League match at Heidenheim on Thursday night. Chelsea are flying to Germany on Wednesday afternoon, and it remains to be seen whether he will travel with the group. However, the fact that the 18-year-old participated in the sessions at all is a positive sign. I have to agree with Simon Johnson on that one. Chelsea open talks over extensions with Acheampong, whose deal expires in 2026 early this season. The club thought an agreement was close, only for negotiations to stall. Chelsea responded to the sudden delay by telling Acheampong he would not represent any of the youth sides, let alone Enzo Maresca's senior team, and has not been seen any competitive action since. I don't think he's played since September, if I'm correct as well. Maresca last month said it was a shame that Acheampong was out for the first team picture and hoped a resolution could be found. The England youth international made his first team debut against Tottenham Hotspur under Maurizio Pochettino last season and was expected to make more appearances in the 24-25 season. Now, I am very much a fan of Josh Acheampong. I think he's a very, very good defender. I think he's someone that when Malo Gusto, which was not in training today, when Reece James, who was not in training today, we know, obviously out for a couple of weeks, is not in the team, we're going to need someone to step up and take the mantle, take the position of the right back. And I think Josh Acheampong can really do that. I think he's got the qualities. We know that Liverpool was sniffing around him. We know that he's been talks of other clubs being interested in him as well. So all those things make me think this guy has something about him if other clubs are interested in Josh Acheampong. We have to nail down the contracts for him. If we do go on to see an injured Reece James for the remainder of this season, we are going to need someone to give a bit of support, a bit of depth in terms of Malo Gusto, because he will potentially be featuring a lot more than he would have expected to with Reece James being out injured. So I think if we've got that contract sorted for Acheampong, that's really good news as Chelsea fans. It's good that he's back in training. Maresca always was clear as day that he wanted him part of his setup. It sounds like this was more of a ownership, dictatorship, top trumping Maresca and say, look, we know you want him in training, but we need him to sign this deal first. And if that deal's been signed, then that's really good news for Chelsea fans. It's really good news for the player. It's really good news for Maresca. It can only be seen as a positive plus going forward. Now, we do have Heidenheim tomorrow, which is a game, Conference League football. Now, Heidenheim are a really strange one because Theo did message me at the weekend. I think they were playing Bayer Leverkusen. They were currently winning at the time 2-0. I did say that they were going to lose that game. And lo and behold, Leverkusen came back, I think beat them 5-2 at the weekend. They are currently sitting 15th in the Bundesliga. Now, take that with a pinch of salt because I think with Heidenheim, they're a team that you still have to show a lot of respect to. It will not be easy going to their stadium, to their ground, albeit with the team that we potentially will play and set up with tomorrow. But they are a team that could cause us problems. I remember speaking on here a couple of weeks ago about Servette and how we should be able to walk past them and make it quite easy. Even Panathinaikos as well. We didn't make things as easy as possible for us there as well. These kind of games can throw out banana skins for us. And I think we have to respect I keep saying on here, we have to respect all the clubs in this competition, whether they're a lesser of opponent than what we think they might be, or that they might cause us some problems. We just have to take it on face value that they could cause us an upset tomorrow night. So I look at Heidenheim, they're 15th in their league. They're on a really bad, inconsistent run in the Bundesliga. Bearing in mind, they only got promoted, I think, two seasons ago into the Bundesliga. They were Bundesliga 2 champions not so long ago. So they are a really good team in terms of what they can do. They're 6th currently in the Conference League. They've won 3 out of 3. So they're unbeaten just like we are. So goes back to my point before that we have to respect them. We cannot come into this game and think that we will just walk past them and it'll be a lovely walk in the breeze, walk in the park, and we'll be able to just come back and concentrate on the Villa game at the weekend. We have to respect Heidenheim because I think they will, and I know they will cause us problems, especially defensively for us as well. I do think we still have a lot of, we haven't shown any sort of, taking our foot off the gas in terms of, the performances in the Conference League. I think we scored 16, but only conceded 3 goals, 9 points, top of the league, unbeaten, like Heidenheim. So I think I'm going into this game with that same positive mindset. This is an opportunity for us again, to rest some players ahead of that game against Villa on Sunday. But I look at these kind of performances now and I'm expecting certain players to turn up. This is almost the Keenan Dewsbury Halls moment, the Mikhailo Mudryks, Christopher Nkunku. It's for them now to step up. They're not really getting their opportunities in the Premier League. So they have to perform on this stage. They have to perform and give Maresca the opportunity to see what they can do. I think it will be a good game. I think obviously we were away, so that plays into Heidenheim's hands a bit more. But I do think we have enough quality. As always, I keep saying on here, we've got enough quality to be able to take this team on and to convincingly win as well. So let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that Linktree link in the description, and we will be back very soon with the review of the game on Friday. We will be recording the podcast, so get some questions in for that as well beforehand. Follow the social accounts. Make sure you get involved, and we'll be back very, very soon.